What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 358. It is another fine Sunday filled with gaming, and we are back to talk about some of it anyway. So, here with us this morning, coming in hot, fresh, ready. Tie Guy Travis is here. How we doing, my friend?
McClunky, I'm doing well, man. Nice to be here. What's up, Hogue?
Hot, fresh, and ready. I thought you were a Little Caesars Pizza, Travis.
I am.
Tell you,
I'm always a little. I'm only $5.
I don't know what word was about to come out of your mouth there, but yeah.
We don't guess at what Travis almost said. If it didn't make it past his filter, it's just a bad idea.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, I mean, let's focus on the stuff that I already actually said that I shouldn't have. How you doing, you slithering little snake?
I'm good. I got way too many games to play. Can I say that developers and game designers throughout the world have gotten just too good at making things that are at bare minimum satisfactory? And so if you get 20 of these things, there's just not enough time in the world.
And one of those games is called Satisfactory.
It's true.
So, I mean, that's on its own confusing.
No, we'll get into it when we talk more about games, but God help me, I started Diablo 4 again, and that's just, you don't have the time, Rick. You don't have the time.
You don't do that. No.
Unless you're going to tell us you booted up Skull and Bones.
Nope. I have not hit the Skull and Bones in more than a month.
Oh, that's great. Recovery, finally. You made it, man. You got your 6 months.
You know what's funny? Tide was running a AI review of our show and how many times we say certain games, and Skull and Bones, I believe, Tide can keep me honest, was second only to Hitman because of Dan.
Well, when Dan was on the show, there was a Hitman update, like as part of the intro.
Every week. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he only played one game.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine? We got to get him on for when First Light comes out. We got to talk to him about how he's enjoying James Bond.
We do.
Yeah.
I actually talked to him over the summer when I was actually at the IOI conference. And I asked him what he thought, and he's super excited for First Light. He said he's only been playing like 2 games. He doesn't pay attention to anything. So we'll have him on as a special.
MLB The Show.
Probably.
What
was he playing?
He didn't tell you, so I can't guess.
But I love
it. Might have been Death Stranding. I think he really liked Death Stranding.
Yeah, that's an easy guess.
What I love is I follow him on social media, and his social media contributions are almost always angry sports rants at this point.
Sports or food. Yeah.
Just absolutely upset at the Chicago Bears, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and everything in between. And I really enjoy following him for that because he is an animated and passionate fan.
How'd the Lions do last week, Coach?
How did the Lions do last week? I tell you what, they play so late, I have to go to sleep at halftime. But I knew after they dominated the first half against the Chiefs and still went into halftime losing, that was not going to be their day. So congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs at beating the Detroit Lions. I don't know how many times you're going to get away with giving up 20 minutes of possession in the first half and take a lead into halftime, but you deserve all the credit in the world. The Lions lost. I can accept it, but I look forward to playing them again in the Super Bowl.
I don't really care, and I didn't watch any of it, but I did see the score anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. The score didn't quite tell the tale of what I was awake to see, but the second half didn't go well for the Detroit Lions. No doubt there.
Fair enough. Well, keeping it back to games, it has been another great week for gaming. So we've got some games to talk about, including Keeper. We've got Ball X Pit. We've got the new Pokemon game. We're going to be talking about updates on some other games. There's Steam Next Fest. Hoag's got some demos he played. It's part of Hoag's notes we're going to talk about. And we not only did Steve at SG do a big preview and review of the Xbox ASUS ROG Ally. God, that's a pain to say. But Travis has it with him, right next to him, actually. So we're going to talk about the usage on that thing and how people are feeling about it and what it means for Xbox's hardware in the future as well. So,
yeah, how many syllables is Xbox ASUS ROG Ally if you say the whole thing?
Well, you're also forgetting there's also a letter somewhere in there, and I always forget where it is because there's an
X
well,
he has the X. Yeah, so you end all that with the X, the
You
black
just slap
one.
the letter X at the end. So it's like a
Yes.
Pokemon game.
ROG Ally X.
Xbox ROG Ally X, made in partnership with Asus.
I was gonna say there's an Asus in there, right? Yeah.
What? Asus? Is that how we're pronouncing this? Asus?
I'm pretty sure I've been told that's how it's pronounced.
That's insane.
Nobody ever knows with these fake names.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've been saying Asus for ever.
So have I. All right, we'll say Asus because
Okay.
it sounds more like normal.
Yeah,
This is
Also,
like when
you know,
Square
here's the
Enix
thing
comes
about
out and says
marketing.
it's Titus.
Here's the thing about marketing is you don't have to listen to it. All right, like it's marketing. Unless you work for their marketing team, you can just ignore it and go about your life.
I think it's just polite to try to give them the pronunciation that they want, unless it's crazy.
Yeah, politeness is for sheep. You know what I'm saying, Ho?
And ROG is Republic of Gamers, so if we want to say the whole thing, we can just.
Well, I think I called it a
Really
ROG Ally forever.
I call it ROG
Yeah.
still. I think you can call it ROG. You do whatever you want, bro. Don't let these marketing teams control your brain, man. That's what I say.
See, Rob says yes, that is the correct way to pronounce Asus, like Dr. Seuss.
Asus? Yeah, no. They can over my dead body is what I say. You know what I'm saying, guys? You get it.
Anyway, let's see. Let's kick us off here. Don Lionheart got us a super chat before the show started. Let's hit it up.
Nice.
It's big news.
Don Lionheart, $5 super chat. Good morning, all. She said yes. Wedding ring. Successful trip
That's
to
an
Travis's
engagement
land
ring.
of heathens. What's that?
That's an engagement ring.
I mean, again, don't listen to the marketing hook. Successful trip to Travis's land of heathens. TwitchCon itself was fine, but the real reason for the trip was a thumbs up. All right.
I had so many
Good
questions
job.
about why you found yourself at TwitchCon, Don, but now I have fewer questions. Congratulations. That is awesome.
Yep.
First of
he
all,
posted.
SoCal is a very separate land of heathens. I just want to point that out. Still
There's no doubt.
my people, but it's a very different brand of heathen. So not exactly, but I'm glad she said yes. Did you two have to put together a giant LARP RPG, or was it something normal? Tell us in the comments.
There was it was a planned proposal. He did tell us all about it in our SG Discord this weekend. So
I got to get on that thing.
Yeah. Well, this was in our private
Keep 'em out.
Discord, the staff Discord. I could add you to the staff Discord though. You're technically staff, right?
Keep them out. We don't want them.
So
Well, to the tax man, I'm not staff, certainly.
yeah, no, you don't have to worry about that with us. But yeah, congrats, Don. Congrats again. Very happy for you. So good way to start the show there. All right. And we've got I'll tell you what, boys, the AI picks this week are a little out there, and I definitely look,
horrifying,
like you would unexpect of me. So here we go.
Let's go.
Ball and pit AI from Tide.
Nice.
Look at, see, like that's the kind of ball pit that breaks someone's back if you jump into it. You know that's the case.
That's true. I don't think you're supposed to jump into them, are you? You're supposed to slide into them. I mean, I never went to these places. Where are ball pits, by the way? Like, what type of establishments
They're in
have
your
them?
Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yep.
They're in Chuck E. Cheese, are they?
Yes. Yeah.
What's funny is my
Charles
relationship with
Entertainment
ball
Cheese.
pits is purely hypothetical. Like, I know they exist, but I've never seen them. It's like Australia. You know what I mean?
They are disgusting pits of germ factories. But yes, you are
Ames,
supposed
they're
to
called
slide
pits.
into them.
It's really in
It's
the
true.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're
you basically
expecting
get in there,
clean.
and kids who are way too rowdy get in there and basically splash around and throw balls at each other and try to hurt each other. That's pretty much what goes down.
Wait, we're skipping too far past this comic book manga Ains look in the top right here.
Yeah, you like that hair? I grew that last week.
I like it. What color was your hair if and when you had it?
Dark brown.
Dark brown.
Yeah.
Nice.
Chestnut,
First of
maybe,
all-
you could go for.
Chestnut. Chestnut is light brown.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Okay.
Again, they've painted me as a ginger here. I'm not sure why AI can't get the coloring right there, but
You also seem to usually be the youngest by a good margin, which you are in real life, so it works. But it's noticeable. You're usually below adult age in these, which is a little. creepy, if
I'm wearing
honest
a
with you.
suit and have glasses. So do I really look older than you in this photo? I guess you have a beard. that is crazy. You have stubble.
He does have a
You're
5
like a
o'clock
kid.
shadow.
I look like a criminal that's hiding in the ball pit.
Yeah, you
is
really
pretty
do.
much
You
what
look like an adult.
You
that's
would
in the
not
ball
be
pit
welcome at the
pretending
Chuck
to be
E.
a kid.
Cheese.
Yeah, they're like, somebody get that guy out of the ball pit.
It looks like you and Ains are interacting. You're in the same ball pit, and Hoga's like, "Hey, do you want to be my friend?" And you're like, "Yeah, come over here."
You
My
know
side
that
of the
Ains is
ball
not
pit.
wearing pants.
He's not wearing pants in that ball pit. 2 of those balls are not.
Were you supposed
plastic.
to?
Yeah.
You are
I mean,
supposed to wear
Oh,
pants in
okay.
the ball
Sorry.
pit.
Sorry.
Yes.
Next
As
time.
previously
Next
discussed, I don't know the protocol around ball pits. For all I know, they're purely sexual.
Oh no.
I
And
don't
Hogue,
know.
why you have that like red button nose that the
Oh yeah, I
AI
look
loves to give you.
adorable. I'm a
Yeah.
handsome gent.
Telling you. The AI, I tell you. Ty, thank you as always. Ball X Pit. It's just a weird thing to keep saying, by the way.
You don't
All
have to say
right.
the X.
Yeah, ball pit. Oh, we're just gonna say ball pit. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Ball pit.
All right. Let's
ball
get
pit.
into some games. And why don't we just go ahead and start with ball pit? Why not? Release
Let's.
this week.
Ball X
Devolve-
pit.
He stepped away right when you said that. He heard you
Yeah.
though.
Oh,
He
dude.
did.
I actually did not hear it.
He said you
It's
don't
just
have to
ball
say.
pit. It's just like
Ball
Spy Family. You don't have to say
It's
the
just-
X. You don't have to
it's
say
just
cross.
ball
You don't have to
pit.
say times.
So published by Devolver Digital, out this week. Another game, a couple games this released this week that are very highly regarded critically. Anyway, this is one of them, sitting at like an 87, 88 on OpenCritic, I believe. And I made sure to play this. I made sure to play Keeper so that we could talk about them.
Yeah, we can talk about Keeper.
I really Ball Pit's an interesting one. It's clearly one I need to put more time into, right? It's got the kind of, it takes the, Hogue, you're gonna laugh, but I go back to like Breakout, like the old Atari kind of brick breaker type game, with modern roguelite and modern kind of design sensibilities. What are you thinking about this one? I'm probably falling off of this one pretty quick, more because it's not really my type of game.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about Ball Pit extensively. So this game is freaking fantastic. And if you don't have it yet, you should go buy it because I think it's
Okay,
$15
right.
and you're going to get dozens and dozens of hours out of this game. This is a reinterpretation of the Vampire Survivors genre, right? Yes, it is framed as a vertical breakout or arachnoid type game, but you don't have to catch the balls coming back at you. They just bounce back into your possession. So you're mostly just focused on breaking the things in front of you. But it has the same kind of gameplay loop of a Vampire Survivors where you are trying to max out randomly offered power-ups. And then when you get a couple maxed out power-ups, they might join together to form something else that might be based on what they were originally, but does a different, new, and interesting power. So you've got that Vampire Survivors loop. And then on top of all that, you've got this kind of base building meta layer so that you're not just spending coins to buy new characters or buy new power-ups for things to make your runs better. You've actually got this little layer of putting buildings down that are going to house the new people that are going to join your cadre of ball pit jumper inners. And it's in that meta loop where you actually are going to build those buildings or harvest the resources by treating your villagers like they are themselves balls and bouncing them off the buildings or the wheat fields or the trees in order to collect resources and to build things. And combined, they're both cool little mechanisms of working through a meta progression. And the game itself is as compelling as Vampire Survivors. It's just a new kind of way of thinking about that type of really simple activity that we're going to have be too hard for you until you power up a little bit, until you figure out how the power-ups work. And I think I've got 18 or 20 hours in since it came out on Tuesday. And I'm 3 layers deep into the ball pit at this point, out of, I believe it's 8. So the basics here are that when you beat it with 2 different characters, a layer, then you can go to the next layer. And I think that increases as you go down. I think the last one is 5 different characters have to beat it. And then there's other mechanisms like Vampire Survivors that have bonuses for you the more characters you have beat a given layer. So just a lot of fun, just constantly rewarding. The runs are like 15 or 20 minutes long, so you can just go and do one and have a good time and be done with it for a little bit. I don't tend to play Ball Pit for dozens of hours. It's not the same as a Balatro, or more recently, I've talked up Clover Pit as the slot machine Balatro-like that I've been playing on Steam, where you don't have any Twitch skills necessary for those games, so you can just play them until you pass out. This one, you actually do need to dodge things and move around a little bit more. So it doesn't quite have that, I'm just going to sit here and play this for a dozen hours kind of feel. But it is a game where you're going to want to play another run when you go and you build up that new building and you've got a new power or you've got a new character. You say, I'm just going to take them for a spin. And then when you take them for a spin, you wind up doing another run, you wind up building another building, and you take the next thing for a spin. So Ball Pit, absolutely fantastic. Exactly what I thought it would be after I heard it announced on the Nintendo Direct. I don't know if that was the original announcement or not. But I've been playing it on my Switch. People have asked me. I think it's a Switch game. Playing on the Switch 2 works great. So get it. Do not skip out on Ball Pit. It's excellent.
Okay. So clearly you like this better than I do. So I think, and I'm probably the outlier here, right? Because it seems like people are really loving this game. Couple comments. By the way, Time says that there is a demo of this as well. So absolutely try it. It's also on Game Pass, so you can go play it on Game Pass as well, which is how I did it. I will say, I could see the runs being addicting. I can see the hook here in terms of, and I played several rounds or maybe 10 or so last night. Even though it's not really my type of game. The one thing I think that jumps out to me, and it doesn't seem like you minded, Hogue, or many people, but I just don't care for the whole resource thing. Like planting crops and then grabbing them between my runs. It's like, why am I doing this? This doesn't do anything for me. It just feels like it's an added mechanic you didn't really need in this type of game.
Well, I mean, the one thing there is that you're going to get a lot of different abilities to not have to worry about hand harvesting things as much as you go along. So part of that is is the feel of building up a town that can operate on its own, right? So in a town builder, that's part of what the joy is, the loop is going through the process and getting something that is self-sustaining that you don't have to handle on your own quite as much. And so that's why I think, like some of the early stuff, like I'm just going to send my villagers through these wheat fields and I'm going to have wheat now. And you're like, but why? But that mechanic kind of grows a little bit as you get things that are going to harvest it for you and do those kinds of things.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I guess the but why for me would just continue. It's like you've got a cool game, you've got these roguelike mechanics, and you build up, you get that kind of meta progression within that, as we've seen, these games, not this game, but these mechanics are very popular now. And kind of get you hooked. And it's just like, okay, I didn't need another layer added to it where I have to harvest stuff. It just seems weird to me personally. But then I don't like those types of games. I don't like town builders. I don't like management games like that. So I think it's just me. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be your experience may vary depending on your own preferences.
And all I would add to that is if you don't love them like Ains, it is not, they didn't sneak an Anno game into Ball Pit.
No,
it is very simple.
It is. It is. Travis, I know you've been heads down reviewing stuff, obviously. Did you get a chance to try this one at all?
Yeah, I played Ball Pit. Played a little bit of it. I don't have enough experience with it to have like strong opinions, but I've been enjoying it so far. I'm not like one of those guys who thinks brick breakers are, God's gift to gaming, like some edgelords seem to think, but this one's pretty good. Are there people
that just stand by Breakout as the pinnacle of gaming?
Yeah, they really do. I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, it's fun. I'll probably play more of this one. It's very good for the ROG Ally. It's a good one for that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I was with somebody this weekend in LA covering an event, and there was like 4 or 5 other game press people there, and I think 3 of them were playing it on their like Steam decks, and I was like, oh, and they were all very into it. They're actually the reason I played a little bit of it. So seems to be doing well, at least with the gaming press. It's kind of a darling, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, very highly regarded. And Devolver Digital lands another one, man.
See, I love doing these shows with you guys because I had no idea how it was received. I know how I feel about things. We've already talked about how little I care about how other people feel about things in general in my life and otherwise. And so I hadn't looked at any reviews on this game. So I didn't know how it was received other than I think it's a great game, so it should be received well. But that's not always the case, right? There's lots of things that we like individually that the reviewers don't necessarily like as much as we do.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's been kind of interesting because this last, week and a half or a couple weeks, let's say, we get a ton of games. I'm looking at OpenCritic right now. So between Silent Hill F, Ghost, Absolum, Battlefield, Ball Pit, Keeper, several others, they're all like in the mid to high 80s. It's just a lot of.
It sounded like you were saying like an activation code for
just a Manchurian candidate has been fired off.
Ball Pit, Keeper. Yeah, just it's like okay.
You just see me, my camera goes off and I just leave after saying all those words. Oh boy. Well, another release this week, both on Game Pass and Double Fine's latest game, which is more our reviewer, and I think many reviewers would argue it's more of an experience than necessarily a game. And it was definitely a passion project for Double Fine, obviously, is a game called Keeper, which they showed at their showcase this summer, basically announced it and launched it this week. And you are a walking lighthouse as you kind of go through this world. There's no really combat. There's no death state. It's very much a 6 to 10 hour, depending on how slow you play, is what the reviewers have said, experience. So played a couple hours of this. Personally, I'm intrigued. I think it's beautiful. It's definitely not something you're going to for any, intense mechanics or any type of experience like that. It is literally just a very unique artistic kind of experience, I guess is the easiest word to say. So I'm enjoying my time with it, but I knew what to expect going in. Hogue, you sounded, when we said we could talk about Keeper, I got the tone that you were a little more down on this one.
Yeah, I think this is awful, honestly. I think it is, if it's well received by anyone, it's because it's got some money behind it. But I've played a number of walking simulators in my day. I have.
Hogue.
I've played a number of walking simulators in my day, and if this were released by a random indie company, I think this would have been laughed off the stage because I don't think there's anything interesting this thing is doing. I don't think any of the mechanics are well thought out. I don't think the environmental traversal is interesting, and it's all well and good to say we're going to tell our story without saying any words, but tell a story. I mean, it's not even interesting for what you're doing in it. So I haven't beaten this thing. I was already dragging myself through about the 3-hour mark. So I don't think I will beat this thing, but I really found it a waste of my time. And with everything else on my plate in terms of video games, that just doesn't seem like something I want to be doing right now.
Eric said Hogue has some past lighthouse related drama that's coming to the surface.
I have seen a lot of lighthouses. Here, Michigan has a lot of lighthouses.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I can tell you, our reviewer gave it an 8, I believe. I believe IGN, unless I'm thinking about the wrong thing, gave it a 9. And it's sitting at a mid 80s right now critically. So definitely not your type of thing, Hogue, clearly. I've got a couple hours in it. I will play through it entirely and then come back and give you my full thoughts. But Travis, did you touch this one at all?
No, I'm gonna go into this one blind when I get a chance to do it. But I'm a fan of Double Fine. We'll see how this turns out. At a 6-hour runtime, there's not a lot of risk to myself, so I'll probably get around to this one.
Could have been playing Ball Pit.
Yeah, you could play multiple games.
Honestly, I think that is that's a perfect example of gaming as a whole, right? Is you're right, Hogue, and I'm sure they're very drastically different games between Ball Pit and Keeper, right? And for me, if I was going to sit down and play one of them later today, it would be Keeper. So it just goes to show you, like, the I don't know, the people enjoy different things. It's the easiest.
They do. That is true. Yeah. That's why we have multiple co-hosts on this show.
And it's great for that reason. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Keeper. I'm trying to see if anyone else has commented about Prox. Just Keeper has so much feeling. So I haven't gone all the way through it, like I said, but I will, and we'll talk more about it. Well, there you go. Pokemon, guys. This is not me. So Pokemon Z to A. So I see that we do have a comment on it as well. That's sitting a little lower on the review scale than the other games we're talking about. And so
All right.
I've.
So we're doing full trademark names here. So it's Pokemon Legends ZA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pokemon Legends from Z to A. Got it.
That's right. Now they're not allowed to make any other Pokemon Legends games because they blew it all. One game from Z to A.
In reverse.
In reverse, yeah.
That's right. And the
But,
Arceus
I
came
know-
first, so they were only on A, and then they just
So I'll set this up. We'll get the super chat because it kind of sets us up for the conversation here. And I'm hoping you guys have at least seen or touched this, but here you go.
Pokemon. Lucius Augustus, $5 super chat. Pokemon Z to A came out and is aggressively mediocre as a video game, but as a Pokemon experience, it's pretty good, which is where we are as Pokemon fans. I played a little bit of Pokemon Z to A. I do not have enough time with it to form an opinion, but I have no problem believing if it's like Arceus, but just sort of like, because for those who don't know, the Pokemon Legends is sort of like a sub catalog of Pokemon where they tell like smaller stories and they don't follow the traditional, like, you're facing off against the Elite Four trying to become the very best. They also don't have multiple games that you're expected to buy that have like small differences in different like Pokemon libraries. And
Yeah, it's their experimental brand.
they're kind of an interesting experiment. Okay. I'm sort of hoping that these will have better stories. I will say, like, Arceus, for all of its problems, and it was like a game that barely ran on the Switch One where it debuted. It did a lot of like interesting world building in the Pokemon universe. It like gave like a reason why Pokeball technology exists and a bunch of other stuff that I thought was interesting. If this game does like something like that, I'll be sort of okay with it. But I do think that like the comments about Pokemon in general being behind the curve is like right on. In fact, they're so behind that there's like small businesses that have made Pokemon competitors and have like blown up because people are sort of sick of Pokemon shit, basically. One of which is like Pal World, which exploded explicitly because it was like trying a bunch of new stuff in the Pokemon space. I really liked Temtem from a couple years ago, which I think does like a lot of stuff better than Pokemon. So
Cassette Beasts.
Yeah, it is interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I don't really review these games. If I did, it would probably ruin me because I would have to think about this critically. But when I play these games, I'm sort of just going in from like I know exactly what I'm gonna get, and it's not terribly ambitious or exciting, but it's Pokemon, and we play Pokemon in this household. You gotta play it.
And it feels like that's a very common, a very common theme, right? Is like Pokemon, obviously a massive IP globally, right? And all these millions and millions of people play it. But I hear so often, at least in my kind of feed, of like, I love Pokemon. I grew up with it. I still play these games, but man, I wish they would make better games.
Well, I mean, I want to talk about Pokemon as a brand a little bit because I've played a lot of ZA, and I have a complicated relationship with this game already. Which is to say, yes, I generally agree that it's not the best thing I'm playing right now. It is more simplified than other versions of this type of game would tend to be. And for folks that don't know about this particular game, ZA, this is a Pokemon game that instead of having turn-based battles, has you do action combat with your Pokemon actually on the screen with you, essentially pulling from a deck of cooldown-based attacks. So the space matters because you can get hit by things, including your trainer can get hit by things, which is new to Pokemon. And you're otherwise setting up your 4 moves based on the cooldown times that they take instead of how many uses you might get between heal steps. So it creates a similar but different dynamic. It's an interesting experiment It doesn't entirely work in that there are places where you'll try to tell them to attack and they'll get stuck on something and they won't attack, and you won't be able to set a new attack for your Pokemon. And it's got that kind of typical Pokemon level of jank at this point. But I do think that the Pokemon brand overall got popular selling itself to kids, and where a lot of people grew up and wanted the brand to grow up with them, Nintendo, Pokemon Company, Game Freak, whoever you want to blame for this, instead said, nope, that's a huge audience. We're just going to keep selling to kids, like literal kids, not just video gaming kids. So it doesn't progress. It's not Time Stranger. It's not doing what Digimon's doing. It's not doing what Cassette Beats or Temtem is doing. It's a very simplified action battle system. Arceus was a very simplified Pokemon in the real world, not separating off to a different battle screen system. It's always very simplified and very easy to understand. I, too, as a gamer, wish that they were adding a little bit more complexity to some of these things, because that's what I like. That's what kind of satisfies when you're playing a game like this. But for what it is, this is probably the cleanest looking, most well-developed, kind of thought-through version of Pokemon that we have played from Nintendo or Game Freak or the Pokemon Company in a long, long time. This is a good Pokemon game. That does not make it a good video game against everything else that you're playing today in 2025. But if you like the Pokemon, if you like hanging out with them,
Pokemon,
and you like visiting fake Paris with them, there's a lot to like about Pokemon ZA. So it's a very strange thing to review, but I think Lucius basically got it right, which is to say it's not great against a whole host of other things that you might otherwise spend your time on. But it is kind of the realization of the fans of the anime dream of, I want to walk around with my Pokemon. I want to see him next to me. I want to see him fire an ember at the guy in front of me. And there are cool bits of lore, Travis. They are clearly still in the Legends franchise, building up some of the stuff with Arceus and what's happening in Lumiose. So they definitely, this team, or however they've divided this to make the Legends series against the mainline series, is interested in just telling crazy, crazy lore with the Pokemon universe in a way that the mainline series is not quite as interested in doing. So there is fun to be had. I fully recommend visiting the museum in Lumiose, Travis, if you like just random shots of things that relate to Arceus and the lore of the Pokemon world. But I do think it's a good game. I do think it's worth your time. It's hard to recommend just on its own because there are other things you could be doing, like playing Ball Pit.
You could always be playing Ball Pit. I've been saying that for years, and people have been like, Travis, what are you talking about? It's been really confusing for all
I like
of
that.
us.
See, that sounds like a good short story where Travis just arrives in the past telling people to play this game that doesn't come out for like a dozen years.
That's right. They're very confused.
Pokemon's not my thing. I've kind of seen what you guys have said. Generally speaking, with all the people I know that like Pokemon and talk about it, it's another game. It's good as a Pokemon experience, but they still continue to wish that games, I guess, were more modernized or more grandiose. I don't know how to really phrase it, but yeah, which is
a little bit of innovation
weird.
couldn't hurt them. They haven't innovated in a long time. That's kind of my problem with it.
It's got to be annoying though as a fan. Like, I'm not a fan, so it's got to be annoying as a fan though, knowing how big this IP is, how much money they make with this IP, and you just continue to get this stuff that just seems middling in terms of the design features or technology output or whatever you want to look at. It seems strange to me.
Well, I think tech-wise, this is the best performing Pokemon game in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I already noticed that. I think a lot of times what people are just looking for, Ains, is they just want like more Pokemon. Like, oh, it's a new generation. You're adding like a bunch of stuff. You're shaking up like the meta. And so it's kind of like when they put out a new set in Magic, they're not looking for like a new set of rules. They just want like the existing rules to be expanded by like more content. I think a lot of people want that, and it's like comfort food because they know exactly what to get. But yeah, it's like it is very unambitious and something that I think I actually have reviewed Pokemon before. I don't remember what I gave the DLCs, but
you say unambitious. I would say that they are absolutely focused on not expanding the game past their target audience. that they're okay with all of the competitors going and grabbing the teenagers that moved on, but that they want to be laser focused on the grade schooler. And I can't tell you that they're wrong.
But I can like games that are made for kids because kids aren't stupid. You can give them like a little bit.
I'm not saying kids are stupid, but I am saying that they came to success with this kind of simplistic RPG mindset. I mean, Pokemon in and of itself was built on simplifying the Final Fantasies and the Dragon Quests of the world. And this is a simplified in ZA version of like a Diablo, or even maybe an adventure deck builder of some kind, where you're swapping the moves in fast enough that you can interact with it on an action basis. But it's a super simplified version of that. And I do see people on my timeline and otherwise saying, it's too simple.
Yeah.
I can't say that that's wrong either, except that I think you lose something if you try to make it more complex, if you start having experience level nodes or something like that you're building up your Pokemon with. But
it's just Pokemon has complicated mechanics in it, stuff that you have to look up, and like you get into like breeding and shiny hunting, and there's like kind of all these like little pockets of stuff that is complicated in Pokemon. I just think that they, like, all the kids I know that are like young elementary school age kids, they like more complicated games than Pokemon. So I do think they're doing themselves a disservice if they're intentionally holding it back. I kind of think it's not that, though. I think it's like a mixture of like being overly cautious and Game Freak not being really great at like optimizing games, and so they've always sort of been really behind the curve and like limiting themselves. I'm not entirely certain it's like purely intentional, but anyway, I haven't played enough of this game to really draw judgment yet, but I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
I was going to say, quite a few of the commenters too are saying, keep in mind, guys, that the general audience for Pokemon is adults, not children. Like, it's people who grew up with Pokemon. Obviously, children.
I don't know if that's true.
Too, but
I kind of agree with Hogue that like I don't think that's what the company's trying to do, but also I think not all of it.
Those are two different things.
But I think it's easy to get skewed from what your own personal experience was, right? I mean, it is helpful for me to have my kids and see how they interact with, among other things, Pokemon, and see what influence the anime had and the various versions of the anime as the different games come out, and why they were excited about ZA. So, like, I can speak to that, and that's not my experience with Pokemon, because I can still remember playing, the Game Boy trading card game on my college campus back in the day, but that's a different experience than your average kid is going to have with it right now. And yeah, I think that my girls, because they grew up with me and have played a ton of games of all sorts of different genres, find the overall mechanic of Pokemon a little bit simple. But they still love the aesthetic and they love the Pokemon. And this is as clean as it's ever looked. So if that's what you're into, and you like the aesthetic, and they're selling Paris with its fashion and all the hairstyles and everything else, that's going to have a certain amount of appeal outside of everything else that we might comment on in game design.
Yeah. I was trying to see if there's any actual hard data. It just says a Japanese study from July this year found the average age for Pokemon players is 32.
That's funny.
So, yeah. I mean, you can see it, right? Pokemon's been around for 30, how many years?
Yeah, I have no problem believing it, but I do think that they're design sensibilities, they are aiming for the younger.
Oh, I agree. That's what I meant, is like they can aim for whatever they want to, but that may be separate from the reality of who's actually consuming it.
Yeah.
And that maybe that's where your disconnect is, right?
And they could burn the brand if that group moves on at some point. And Pokemon right now sells through the roof every time they release one. But I do think that they're focused on maybe trying to relive the past by selling to elementary school children. And maybe they're not succeeding. I can't speak to that. I can say that this is pretty much a best case scenario for what Pokemon is right now. You can wish that it were more complicated. You could wish for a Digimon or other type of approach, and maybe Nintendo would be well advised to pursue one, but that's not going to happen. And I think what they have delivered with ZA is actually pretty compelling and interesting.
Okay. Cool.
I look forward to playing more of it.
Yeah. We got one more super chat around that from Lucius. We got to follow up. So
okay, Lucius Augustus, $5 super chat. 90% of every character in the game has the default stance in the open world. Most people don't move. no voice acting, minimal viable product as a game.
The good
Wow.
old MVP.
I do think there is some MVP stuff in ZA. In particular, you can see with the architecture that it was simplified at some point, and they didn't figure out a way to not make a lot of Parisian balconies just look like textures on the side of a wall. And like there is that kind of thing throughout, but
Gotcha.
I do think it's an enjoyable experience so far.
Okay. Yeah, this is one of those times where, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to be a fan of that. I'm good. There's other stuff. I think for me, Hogue, I think I missed it, right? I was like, that Pokemon came up, what, in the early 90s, maybe? Am I thinking right?
Yep. I was in
and by
elementary
that point,
school. Target audience.
yeah, that's what I mean. By that point, I was like teenager. It just didn't vibe with me, and I never really got into it. So, I want to mention quickly, just because I haven't been playing mostly Battlefield. If I'm honest with you, I've played way too much Battlefield.
I heard.
Way too much. I think the first ranking system is up through 50. So you unlock all of the weapons and gadgets, at least your core stuff, by 50, and then it keeps leveling beyond that with assignments. I'm already at 52. And I've just played an awful lot of that game. It's freaking incredible. So I love that. But I want to quickly touch back on Chronos. We talked about this a few times, and I know, Hogue, you were talking about maybe getting back to it at some point. And I said I had just finished Silent Hill F, and I was going to Chronos. So I played that for several hours this week. It says I'm about nearly halfway through it now. Really environmentally well done, and I really like what it's going for with the Bloober weirdness. I called it the other day. Bloober does their own kind of experimental, environmental type stuff, and I'm digging it in that regard. And it's very Dead Space-ish with its characters or its enemy designs, and how you kind of have to play survival horror. But it's starting to feel very samey to me. So I'm, like I said, nearly halfway through it, and it's like it's hallway kind of same engagement, hallway, same engagement, hallway, same engagement. And I'm hoping that evolves at some point, but seeing as I'm nearly halfway through it, I'm not sure how much it will. The weaponry is very simple, and I just feel like, and then, you'll get into situations where they kind of overrun you briefly. You may die, and then you have to do that entire kind of engagement again. You know what I mean? And you learn from your mistakes, and then you get through it, whatever. But it's just it's not doing enough for me to really pull me through right now, which is a shame because I really like other aspects of it. So we'll see on that one. I don't know. I want to finish it, but I'm at this point with so many good games and getting frustrated that I'm not as engaged as I'd like to be. I don't know. We'll see. Which to me, Pogue, means that you probably would like it even less because I'm usually higher on these Bloober games than you are. So
I did think that while you were saying all that.
Yeah, I would maybe go ahead and wait a little bit. If you do want to check it out, wait till it's cheap because I'm not sure how much you're going to dig this one. So. But
I wound up really liking Silent Hill F. So
me too. I love Silent Hill F. I think honestly, I like Silent. I said this before. I like Silent Hill F a lot more than I enjoyed Silent Hill 2 remake. I just enjoyed the hell out of F. Anyway, Steam Next Fest is happening. There's demos of all sorts of games out there and kind of previews that you can check out. Hogue, you mentioned that you were playing a few of those, so hit us with some weirdness.
I am, yeah. I think there are 3,000 that I saw when I went in to look at it this week. So I played about a couple dozen, many of which suck. We won't waste your time, nor will we disparage the developers who I am sure are trying their best. But there are a couple gems that I really enjoyed that I wanted to share. Let's see if I can pull up what I added to the wish list here. One is an adventure game from No More Robots and Size 5 Games called Earth Must Die, which is about this alien race that has to harvest Earth, and is done in a cartoon comic type setting like you might remember from, Monkey Island or some of the LucasArts greats of, back in the day. It's voice acted, including, if you watch the demo credits, a few voice actors that you'd recognize from other very prominent works in video gaming. And I enjoyed it so far. It's got a kind of, how would I describe it? A little bit Travis-like comedy styling. Nice. So since Travis always accuses me of not having a sense of humor, I recommend he to try out that demo as well. So Earth Must Die, Travis, and you can judge the humor for us and tell us if it's any good.
Must Die. I will do that.
What else did I pull up that I really like? There is a game called The Fable, which apparently is based on a famous manga that I don't know because I don't know very many mangas. But it is set up as a roguelike where you are putting together pages of a manga with different shapes, like you're going to say punch or roundhouse kick or these various things. You're in a kind of kung fu Chinese gangster tale of some kind. And you put these things together out of a deck of various things. So it's got a roguelike deck building element while you are putting together these manga pages. And then what you do is depicted in pixel art against these gang members and things like that. And that one comes out in like a week or two. I really enjoyed this one as part of the demo, so I wanted to at least mention it here. And then, of course, the one that I mentioned a couple weeks ago that is my favorite demo of the last 2 months is a game that now comes out in this week called Slots and Daggers, in which you are picking out the reels for your slot machine, and then you're clicking the button to get a shield or a sword or a health potion or whatever it is that might help you fight these monsters that you're going to fight in this roguelike progression.
What's up with Hoag's gambling addiction lately? He has all these like, slot games. It's kind of bizarre.
Together with skill checks, like the big sword will have you try to hit a power meter when it hits the top, and if you do, you get a critical hit, and various other artifacts and things that you can build up for your character. This is my favorite demo in a long time. I think this game is going to do gangbusters, but it is hard to say that because the market is so saturated right now with video games overall. I'm wishing this all the luck in the world. It has just a really cool visual aesthetic. It has a great game design so far as seen in the demo, and I'm really looking forward to it coming out this week. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about releasing. So Slots and Daggers, don't sit on that one. Very much the same vein as the Clover Pits and Balatros of the world, a roguelike progression with a very simple activity, but just really, really well done. So yeah, those are the ones I wanted to call out.
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
gonna look for Hoag at those nickel slot machines when I'm in Vegas next weekend. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I think you have a problem, Hoag.
Be sitting there with the axe in hand, you know.
Better to have a problem buying a cheap game on Steam than to actually be putting those nickels and quarters into the slot machine.
I mean, unless you win it big, you never know, Hoag. You never know.
Now that sounds like a problem.
The publisher of Slots and Daggers also did Clover Pit, and it does. It comes out the 24th, which is later this week. So on Steam. By the way, Fable.
If you had to sit at one of those
get the joke
slot machines, which slot machine would you sit at, Hoag?
I mean, the Slots and Daggers slot machine, definitely.
No, I mean, like, if an actual slot machine, like, you know, the ones they have where they're like themed in Vegas, like, which one, what would be your jam, you know?
I think I would look to see if I could find a Konami sponsored slot machine. Don't they have one where it's got like, they've got like random Solid Snake quotes that come up?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, there's lots of Konami machines.
Snake, when you die, when you lose.
That's right. You get no matches, and it's just someone yelling "Snake."
Yeah, Slots and Daggers seem to do very well. I've gotten a lot of PR about it, but Fable looks really crazy. But to your point, it comes out November 5th as well. There is, you should check that demo out. That looks really interesting, Hoag.
It is really good. I was surprised. Like I said, I try to take a very broad approach, cast a wide net during like a Steam Next Fest and just download everything. And for every one that I recommend here, I probably played another 10. But these are the 3 that I really like the most.
I think the headline of the episode so far is that if your game has a pit or slot machines, Hoag is going to like your game.
All right.
Clover Pit. Ball
Here
pit.
it comes.
Slot machines. You know, it's like Clover Pit, really, it has both, right? It's got slot machines and a pit. So Hoag really likes that one. And then he's got Ball Pit. And now he's got this game, Slots and Daggers.
But keep lighthouses the F away from him.
Keep lighthouses away. Lighthouses are really the opposite of pits. They go up, right?
Yeah.
He wants
lighthouses, no towers, none of that.
So I think I think the point is Hogue is in a very interesting place in his life right now. He's in a little bit of an odd phase, but we love him for it, man.
It is true. I keep referencing Balatro, but I really do like this design of we're going to build just an entire meta world around the most simple activity you can think of. So it's pulling a handle on a slot machine, or in the case of Slots and Daggers, pressing a button. For Balatro, obviously, it's matching video poker hands. It's just the most simple activity, but we can build an entire meta progression around that. And I think that's a really cool design, and I think developers are having a lot of fun with it, and they're having a lot of success in the marketplace. So Clover Pit, I think I described last week as being just aesthetically ugly, and you're just uncomfortable being there the whole time. That's kind of built into the design. Slots and Daggers is just gorgeous. Like, whatever this developer was doing, it's got just all of this tactileness to the slot machine and the sounds. It feels like an old, like, Atlantic City slot machine. It's got lights that go around the rim. I highly recommend people at least look at the thing, even if you don't like the concept, because it's just a really interesting piece of art outside of the really great game design.
Okay. Also this weekend, happening right now, if you're watching us live, is the tech test for Arc Raiders, which is getting ready to launch. If you haven't played that before, definitely check it out if it looks like your type of thing. Be aware it is very low on content. It really is a server slam test. They're just testing the servers. It's just the first map, very limited progression. It doesn't carry over. So, but if you want to get a feel for it and see what that's all about, as we talked earlier this year when we did a full kind of preview and beta and all that, this game looks like it's going to be a big one. I mean, on Friday night, just for this tech test, it had over 100,000 concurrent on Steam alone. So people are really, really pumped for this one. And yeah, I'm pumped as well. So that comes out on the 30th. So a week and a half, that'll be here. And then just to comment one more time on Battlefield, because we got sales figures. They sold 7 million copies in 3 days for Battlefield. So gigantic release. Yeah, it is the biggest release ever in the Battlefield IP, in terms of sales anyway. And it, it's just kind of crushed it out of the gate. Like I said, I'm in love with it. So yeah, good to see Battlefield actually being back in proper form and putting up, giving us the options for that type of multiplayer experience.
Can I just say, Ains, that I did try the campaign? So I was on too many shows last week where people were talking up Battlefield for me to survive that kind of pressure. So I bought Battlefield, and my experience with Battlefield was I bought it, I turned it on, I basically immediately hated my experience. I turned it off and said, I must be in a bad mood or something. I'll try it again tomorrow. Tried it the next day, liked it more. I just had to get used to what it was more than anything else. So I played the campaign to start out with to see what it was all about, because nobody that I had talked to had actually even hit the button to try the campaign. And I played through a couple missions of it. It is the Pokemon minimum viable product approach to a big old military blockbuster summer thing, right? Yeah. So if you're going to complain about Pokemon, you got to complain about the Battlefield campaign, because it is just not even trying very hard. It's just exploding things and saying, don't you want to kill the bad guys that exploded all your things? It's like, yeah, I guess. And let's put on some hoorah music and go kill some stuff. It's like, fine. But tried that out. Then I decided that I needed to actually train and figure out what the heck this game was about, because that's obviously not the campaign.
It's not the campaign.
Went through the training things, watched a video about classes. Went through exploring the menus of this. I got to say, I hate the menu system here. Some of these games try to build almost like the Netflix menu out of their UI, and I hate it. It's just awful. You always feel like you're missing some important piece of information. It's slow. I just really dislike the menu system. But I then got into a game of, I think it was, you can correct me on this, Ains, I think it's Breakout. Is that what it's called?
Breakthrough.
Thank you. Played a game of Breakthrough. Initiation, which I think means it was filling with bots because we're all terrible at the game. Except not everybody's terrible, because apparently smurfing in Initiation is a thing. So, like,
doesn't surprise me.
I got killed by a number of 34 level people. So having a great time playing Battlefield. Throughout this entire experience, I'm looking at this saying, I think these mechanics are pretty cool. I think these graphics are awesome. I think I'm going to have fun with this eventually, but I have not yet found my home. I'm still not good at connecting with like the folks at Season Gaming or Last Stand or anyone else that's actually playing this that I can kind of see flittering about my user interface, but I'm still not good at connecting with folks to play one of these games. And so I am in the unenviable position of saying, I think that seems like a cool game that I have not yet had a cool time with.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. It is just like pretty much Battlefield has been since the start. It is a game that has two things I would say, and I've talked to other friends who are playing now, but they're not like the biggest Battlefield fans. So there's all these Battlefield fans playing who kind of know what to expect and do in multiplayer, right? But then people want to enjoy it, to your point, but it is very unique as a multiplayer experience. So two things I would say. One is that the game has so much going on. It's so hectic and chaotic, and there's so many mechanics and weapons and things that you can do. It takes a long time to really kind of understand everything. And because when you play the bigger modes like Breakthrough, Conquest, Rush, Escalation, the maps are so big too that when there's 32 or 64 people on the map, and you can get shot from 900 different angles and windows and rubble and elevation. It just takes a while to really kind of get a feel for where I should be looking, where should you be going, where do I, how do I help, that type of thing. So people struggle with that early in Battlefield. That's just a thing. Two, it absolutely is better with a squad. 100%.
I have no doubt.
If you have 4 people where you can communicate, you have 2 people reviving, one, scoping people out, it just plays a lot better. So the problem I have, Hogue, is we always joke, is I play really late at night. I was up till 2:30 a.m. last night playing, and that's just not you. So what we'll have to do is find an afternoon, maybe this afternoon if we get a little time, or next weekend or whatever, to where you can jump in. We can have Alex or some other people from the community jump in. We'll get a squad, and you can hang out with us, and I guarantee it will improve your experience.
Don't do it. Don't play with them.
It seems like a cool game, Travis. It does.
It really is amazing.
Good.
Like the clips I have already of just like absolute stuff that does not happen in any other game. Like the Battlefield moments are back.
No, I played it for like 6 hours for preview and went in thinking, I wasn't gonna be anything special, and I got really into it. Unfortunately, I have not even bought the game. I like post release and probably will not have any time to play it. But I got my taste, and I got to absolutely destroy some pre-release streamers and my fellow media people. So that was fun. It was good.
It was funny last night. So I was playing early with Joe, host of the Trophy Room, who was on a few weeks ago. Our friends over at Nerd Chat and Wally, and we were, and Eric, Game Positive, who's in the chat at SG2, and like Joe and Eric are big shooter guys. Like the three of us are shooter guys, and we were like 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 5 on the scoreboard every time, and we were dominating. And then later in the evening, I played with my friends who either don't play very often, haven't had time to play, whatever. And it was like me up here, and then it was like 24th, 28th, 30th, and it's not anything against their skill level. It's just time. You have to learn that game and everything about it. Plus, as you level up, you get better guns and gear. So it's like those people already have an advantage who play more. So,
as long as you can accept Hogue is there at the bottom again, then we'll have a good time.
Yeah, no, we'll have a good time.
I think it's fun even if you lose. Like I think we lost like two of the matches that I played, and they were still super fun.
They're really fun. And honestly, I think my win rate overall, because you're playing 64 player matches, so you have the impact you can try and have, but it is a big team game. But yeah, we've lost where like Alex is saying it in the chat right now. We've lost with like 6 tickets. You start with 1,000 tickets each in Conquest, and we've lost like 0 to 6, like so close. But it is fantastic if you like Battlefield. So check it out. That's enough on that one. We got a couple super chats and things to get to real quick. We've got a real quick one here.
Console Peasant, €11 and 99 euro cents. Super chat. Lovely show as always.
Thank you, Console Peasant.
Thank you, my friend. Always appreciate you supporting.
Not so much a peasant. $12. That's like a full video game. That's like a ball pit right there.
That's like $15.
That's more than $12. Yeah.
That's a ball pit, dude.
Yeah, you can make your own. You could at least get a few balls. You know what I mean? Start throwing them at people.
By the way, I love Ball Pit. I'm not super thrilled with Devolver Digital's marketing campaign for Ball Pit, really, really leans into the word balls a lot.
I think that's okay.
It's Devolver
Look,
Digital, man.
Devolver
Like,
Digital's marketing is for me specifically.
I just
And
don't think it's as clever
I
as they
love it.
apparently think it is. I don't know.
Well, it's
what was
because
I going to
you
say?
don't have the balls for it.
You
You know what it takes to play ball pit in this business, Hogue? Brass balls. What's the Rostlin CE?
Raceland
CE?
Raceland,
Collector's
yeah.
Edition? Combat Evolved. Gifted 5 Hogue Law memberships.
Thank you, Race.
Yes, very nice. Thank you, my friend. All right.
You know what it takes to sell real estate? Brass balls.
Let's see. Any other games I want to mention? I think we're good. Let's go ahead and jump over to Xbox's ROG Ally, which is our cover story this week. So this launched. There was a preview event with both Asus and Xbox in New York a couple weeks ago that a bunch of the outlets got to go to, obviously the major ones like IGN and others, but also I know Cog was there for Iron Lord, Steve was there for us, and did a huge write-up on the ROG Ally. They got to play with prototypes, they got to speak to the engineers and the design teams. So a lot of good information on this product and how it obviously differs a little bit from the existing ROG Ally. And LAX, but generally speaking, we talked about this when they unveiled it. Like a couple aspects I want you to touch on, Travis, now that you have some time with it and you have it there next to you, is Xbox clearly said they didn't want to make the portable device themselves, right? So they found a way to partner with Asus. They basically build upon what they had already created with the Ally, and in parallel to doing that, they try to create a light version of a PC OS that can kind of bridge the gap between what we see out of the Xbox PC app and a console experience, make it easy to kind of get to your games. And on top of all that, right, as we were discussing pre-show, bring in their things like Game Pass, Play Anywhere, and your digital library so that you can kind of play these games in full function on the go, along with obviously, the kind of their controller sense and some other Xbox sensibilities. So the questions I have for you, Travis, so far anyway, and I know it just came out a few days ago, but you got the $1,000 one. This is the high-end model, the Ally X.
Yeah.
There's two main things. Is one, do you see this being a growing thing in the space? We're seeing a lot of handhelds in the market. Obviously, we know the Switch 2 is Nintendo's thing, but like other more expensive, more fully featured handhelds. And then two, the big thing I want to know about is the OS, because I've heard from Steve, who, by the way, is a big PC and Steam guy, and he said he may even sell his Steam Deck for this. That's how impressed he was with this unit, which is a crazy thing for Steve to say. He's diehard Steam. But in addition to that, I've also seen the flip side of a bunch of jokes online from Dan Reichert at like Giant Bomb and issues where like Windows is popping up, Teams is popping up. Like clearly it still has this Windows foundation in this OS that Microsoft seems to have trouble still kind of working through from a coding perspective. So kind of want to get your impressions of the OS and usability as an Xbox in mobile form.
Yeah. So it is a PC, but I said before this came out that the thing that was going to like live or make this thing live or die in my home is whether or not it felt like a bespoke kind of experience, like an Xbox experience, and whether or not my library was playable. When you boot it up, it goes straight to like an Xbox UI, which I think is a huge advantage over the original ROG Ally, because I have an ROG Ally right over there. I've only played it a handful of times because when you boot it up, the first thing you see is the Windows 11 desktop, which is horrifying. And so if you want to download Steam, you have to like click on the start button and then download Chrome and then go and you have to like go and get the download Steam and then install it, and you're like clicking and your cursor is like a grain of sand. It's smaller than a grain of sand actually on the screen, and you're touching the screen to navigate around, and it's a crazy. It's like, oh, you want to connect to Bluetooth? Try it 50 times to tap that bottom right hand corner where the Bluetooth settings are in the like corner of the Windows UI, and it's just an obscene situation. Now you boot up and you get this UI where it's like really straightforward. Like it's like, okay, my games library is here.
Yeah.
Going to the home menu. It's like, okay, this is all like it's the Xbox UI. If you want to get to the Windows UI, you can do that, but it's sort of like it's like a side thing. Like I've only had to go to the Windows UI like one time, and I think it was to set up my like you can set up Bluetooth, but when you click on like settings, it pops open the settings app on Windows, but it also pops it up in full screen. It just feels like they worked through a lot of the problems with the ROG Ally, which is like the ROG Ally was just literally Windows on a device you could hold. Like there was absolutely no guardrails. And I would say that this brings you like 70, 75, maybe even 80% of the way to you not knowing that it's Windows. Like whoever at Giant Bomb was talking about the pop-ups, like, yeah, I've seen that where it's like, hey, this app was updated. It'll pop it up in the bottom right-hand corner, but it doesn't like pull you out of the Xbox UI. It doesn't like make you investigate it. I like when you download updates, you're doing it through the main UI. It's not making you go and like go to the settings app in Windows and like download an update and do like some of that junk. And so they basically have done a very good job at like disguising the fact that it's running on Windows. And if you're like a normie who doesn't know any difference, you might not even notice that it's on Windows most of the time. Like you probably are just thinking that different apps are opening, because at no point is it just dropping you in the desktop view in Windows, which was my biggest problem with the ROG Ally. You can get there if you want, but you don't have to. Like you can download Steam. You could play this as a regular PC. That's not what I'm going to do with this device, because I bought this device specifically for this experience. Yeah. And so far that has been really good. So my review on like how they've done in terms of making it feel like an Xbox device, even though it was not made by Xbox, is a qualified success. Like I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10 on like its ability to do that, because it's got rough edges where you can clearly tell it's on just regular Windows, but I think overwhelmingly it succeeds. And then the second thing is, do the games that I like run on it? And so far the answer is that I have not found any games that don't run on it. So that's been pretty cool. There have been exceptions. Like my wife and I are playing through the Borderlands series, so I looked for Borderlands 2 and I could not find it on this store because it is the Windows store, not the Xbox store. But then when I typed in Borderlands 2, I found it on xCloud. And so I can't download my version of Borderlands 2 on this device because it's for whatever reason not on the Windows store, but I was able to play it via xCloud, and it's an old game, so it ran super well. Like the problem with that is you wouldn't be able to play it in a hotel room. Now this console happened to come out on a day I was going to LA for assignment, so I got to bring it to the airport, which to me is the ultimate test, because the only time I want to use a device like this is if I'm traveling and I'm in places where my internet sucks. And so if it does that thing where all the games are actually on the cloud and you can't download them, or you have to be tethered to like another device, it was instantly going to be like I throw this in a shoebox and never think about it again. And I did not have to do that. I downloaded 5 or 6 games. I downloaded Ace Attorney, Expedition 33, Ball Pit, Silk Song, Monster Train 2, what up? And this little game right here, Outer Worlds 2. And Outer Worlds 2 is also not out yet. So I was like, there's no way that this game that is on technically the Microsoft Store platform, it's not on the Xbox Store, is going to run in a pre-release environment. And I installed it anyway as like a pre-release game. And then when I clicked on it, it knew that I had the game and it opened it. And I was able to play it on the plane without an internet connection. And that is the part that impressed me, because I was waiting for it to hit like, you need to be online to play this game, or like something annoying like that, where it's like cloud-based, and it's not doing any
check,
of that.
Especially for pre-release. Yeah.
It didn't do any license checks, which I was really surprised. Like I opened up Outer Worlds 2 for the first time when I was in the sky, and as long as you have opened it beforehand.
Well, first time on that device, to be clear.
Yeah. Well, no, the one exception to that is I did make sure to download my cloud saves, which you don't actually have to like remember to do that. But when you open the game initially, it tries to fetch your cloud saves, and you have to be online for that. So like while I was waiting for us to take off, I like connected to my cell phone hotspot as my internet connection. And then when I opened the game, it downloaded all my save files. And then when we went in the air, I was off the internet and I was able to just like play like normal.
Yeah.
And then, I got to my hotel room connected to the hotel Wi-Fi, and then it like synced all of my save files with the cloud.
Yep.
And then the next time I turned it on my Xbox console or on my PC, it just like synced all my saves. And so that was like the most impressive part, where I was like, okay, I will actually use this because it works without an internet connection. It has all my save files, and it was completely friction free as the user from me going from portable back to console and vice versa. And so that part was sick as hell. The final part that I'll talk about is just like the performance, which runs pretty well. I mean, I'm surprised that this like works like it does. You know what I mean? That's pretty crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just weird to have a handheld device run like a kind of a AAA title and work. So it's been pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it looks pretty decent, I think. So yeah, that's what I have to say about this console. So far, so good.
Yeah, no, that's great to know. The thing I was most curious about was the OS, like you said. So you may want to just touch on briefly, if you can, battery life for the audience.
Yeah, so as you guys know, my Steam Deck experience has been absolutely terrible with battery life, which I was talking to somebody who has the OLED, and he said that is a lot better on that platform. So I might actually end up buying the Steam Deck OLED because of this. But the Steam Deck really bummed me out because it runs like 2.5 hours on a good day, and mine now, as you guys know, only lasts 5 minutes before it dies, which is really irritating. I actually haven't had this run out of battery. Admittedly, a flight to LA is very fast. It's like an hour. And so I was probably using this thing like 2 hours, if you count the time in the Ubers and whatever, where like was maybe using it for 2 to 3 hours. But even when I got to the hotel room, I checked the battery life and it was like a little more than half. So my guess is the battery life for this thing is like 5 or 6 hours, which is better than I would have expected. And that was me running like a RPG shooter where I would expect the output to be very high. But yeah, runs pretty well. I mean, the biggest problem with this device and the reason it's not going to be successful, there's two reasons. One, it's the Xbox platform, which is like just nobody cares about that platform. And the second one is that it's $1,000. I mean, it's $1,000. Like, this is a very expensive device.
Yeah.
If I had to pay for it myself, I would not buy this device. But that's just because $1,000 is a lot to spend on a device that I'm only going to use, a couple times a year. I don't travel that much.
That's quite exactly why I didn't get it, especially having a gaming laptop now. The only time I use it's when I travel. So
yeah, I have a gaming laptop as well, and I've got the regular ROG Ally, and I've got 2 Steam Decks, and I've got a Switch 2. And so if you already have handheld devices, the odds that you're going to need something that's $1,000 is very low. But considering that most of my library at this point is on the Xbox platform for whatever godforsaken reason, and the fact that like I don't have to pay for it, I mean, is the main thing. This is pretty sick. Like I'm not upset with my decision to get this, and I think I probably will use it a lot. It's just cool. Like,
nice.
Hit that Xbox. You got the little Xbox UI here. Open up games. Go to home. I also really like that it has a library button. I just think the Xbox controller should have a library button, frankly, that takes you straight to your like installed apps. That's a nice little feature. Xbox should just add that button. Is my feedback to Xbox. There should just be a button that takes you straight to your library from the controller.
Well, and let's remember too, we keep saying $1,000 because I think everyone looks at the X, but you do have the $600 option if you want in the.
That's true, and I just can't speak to that. I don't know if it feels this premium. I'm sure it has the exact same UI, and it probably handles games the same. But yeah, I can't really speak to the $500-$600 version.
It's from what I understand, because on Steve's write-up, so at a high level, right, it's got slightly less processor, slightly less RAM, a slightly smaller battery for obvious reasons, but the OS and all that, and the case and all that, the feel of it's the same. So to your point about the battery too, from the testing I saw, they said like 7 hours if you're just watching videos. If you're gaming at absolute peak settings, max settings, it's a little under 3 hours. And so you can kind of range between that, depending on top using every ounce of power versus just using the screen type thing.
I did notice that it does some like auto optimization. Like when I plugged it into a power outlet when I was like near like at the hotel and played a little bit, it changed it to like a more performance first mode, and I noticed that like the frame rate was better. And when I was on the plane, the frame rate was a little worse, but like clearly they're kind of like auto toggling something to keep the battery
gaming
life
laptops do that
as possible.
Yeah.
And I know, and I have an Asus like ROG gaming laptop, and it does kind of similar stuff whether you're plugged in or not. Although I will
apologize if you mention it already. I know you said a lot of information, but does it have any kind of easy interface with the TV? Like that's one of the reasons I love the Switch.
That's a great question. I have not tried it. So I bought a dock, which admittedly you have to buy separately, and I think it was not cheap. It was like $150 or something. I don't really remember the cost. And it has the very annoying ROG chroma coloring, or this makes like a bunch of
is it firing
colors.
Lights across your room?
Yeah, it's firing lights across your room. It's doing that annoying thing, but it is very sleek and it fits into. Actually, I want to talk about this case. This case is sick. This is an Xbox.
What does it say?
Case.
This is an Xbox case. Lovely.
Yeah.
Jokes.
So this case, I bought this thinking like, oh, it's whatever. It's a case, right? It holds the thing. But it actually is kind of smart. First of all, this little thing that holds the Xbox in, it turns into a stand that you can put the ROG Ally in. And so if you're like sat up, you can just like rest it there, which is super helpful. And then the back here has Velcro, and you strap the pack onto the back of it that holds the charger and like any accessories. And so I have like a little pack that Velcros onto the back of this that I keep the dock in, because the dock is very small. It's like this big. It's smaller than the
it's a little
Switch
box.
2's dock by a lot. And so you can actually carry that thing with you, which is kind of cool, because you know you get to the hotel room or your destination, your Airbnb, and you just like pop the dock onto a table and you can just run with it, which I thought was cool. But yeah, they thought about a lot of the stuff, which is cool.
Yeah,
I have not played it in handheld or in a docked mode though, but my guess is you would need a controller because it's docked, and so you probably have to
you'd want the equivalent to the Pro controller.
Yeah, you'd want to bring like an Xbox controller with you. That's a little too much packing of games equipment for me, so I'll probably just play it on the small screen.
Well, like with my Switch 2, I have a carry case, which is what I grabbed, that looks a little bit like the one that you just showed for the Xbox. But then I have a big one where you can put a Pro controller and the dock, and they all have their places. And that goes with me like to the cabin or what have you. So that's what I do with my Switch. It is good at bare minimum to hear that they've thought about docking and things like that, because I can get my Steam Deck docked, but it's clearly not built for that. It always feels like something might light on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was another problem with the ROG Ally is they didn't make any of the accessories for the thing that it was doing. Like, you know, you could run a mouse and keyboard for it, but there was no real good way to do that for that device, and there was no dock for it. This feels a lot more bespoke, which is cool.
I would like to get that dock for my $1,000, but yes, I think it's
and that's the thing. You have to buy a separate dock for it, and you have to buy the case for it, and the dock that comes with the stand that comes with this $1,000 device is made out of cardboard. Like you open up,
they sell you the cardboard.
No, that's Nintendo. Only Nintendo sells you cardboard.
That was a Labo joke. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that is a crazy thing to open up a box, and you know how they have all those little packages in the box where you're like, oh, what's in here? The charger or whatever. One of them, you open that and it's literally a piece of cardboard for you to use as a stand. Now it is thicker cardboard. It's like high quality cardboard, but it is insane that you're buying $1,000 device and it comes with a freaking piece of cardboard. The other thing that is really weird about this console, about this device, is these controllers are separate from the game. Like they're like connected devices and they auto detect, but like you have to wiggle a little bit for it to like register. I don't know if I'm explaining.
You turn on the system, but then you have to tell it the joysticks are there.
Exactly. Like you open up the
Oh.
game, but then you have to like click the left stick and right stick back and forth real quick, and then you start to see it like register, like it picks up that you're controlling the game.
Like
And
shaking your mouse.
I think there's a software thing. Exactly. There's a software thing in the background where it's like saying, oh, they want to control that app with the interface. And so it's like toggling from whatever the UI you were controlling to the game UI. And so it takes like half a second for the console to like transfer that. Now, the fact that it does it automatically is exactly the way you'd want it to do. But there was like moments where myself as like a gamer who's played a lot, I was like, oh, I get what it's doing. It's like applying my controller to this game, which it does not do by default. And so it is a little janky compared to something like the Switch, where it knows exactly what you're doing when it opens the app and it does all that like automatically. So.
Yeah, part of that is the Switch does feel magic. You were always going to have that separation point just from working through a third party, and Windows is the base, right?
Yeah. So there's like clear signs that they stitched it together. But the thing that I like about this device is that they bothered stitching it together. And I don't think they did that at all in the ROG Ally. And I also think that the Steam Deck shows signs of it not doing that. Like the Steam Deck runs on Linux, right?
Yes.
And there's times where you can tell it runs on a software that is not made for the Steam Deck, that they had to like customize it. It has rough edges. This has that too, but it has far fewer of them, which is really all I wanted. I just wanted the UI to make sense for the device I was buying and feel more like organic. And I wanted the games that I wanted to play to work without like a bunch of bullshit. And this does those two things. So for me, it's a huge like W just for that reason. And that's before I get into like, how does it run technically and what's the battery life? It's like I just want it to not be a pain in my ass. Like that's the bare minimum, and it does that part well. So that for me is it's won me over just by not being a huge pain in my ass, frankly.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it sounds like they've taken a closer step towards that magic that I feel with the Switch line. I'm still probably going to live mostly in the Nintendo ecosystem anyway. So the Switch 2 being half price to what we're talking about is still the place for me to go. But I am glad that it feels like this is working better than the first step, which was I was never convinced about the ROG Ally by itself. So working with Microsoft seems to have done it some good in terms of that magic portable quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to be fair, right, I want to make sure we are calling out. So the Switch is $500, right? Without the bundle or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
it's $450.
$450, $500, but you can get the ROG Ally, the normal one, the non-X, for $600. So it's not a huge price difference. And I believe, someone correct me, please, but I believe even the standard ROG Ally, the Xbox ROG Ally, is a technically more powerful, competent device than the Switch 2.
It might be, but you get a dock with your Switch 2. I mean, that's worth noting.
Correct.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't want to just compare the $1,000 version to other things, is what I'm saying.
No, we can compare the $600 version if you want. I think I still wind up on the Switch side.
Yeah, and also just from like the user experience, like if you're the type of person who wants to know, like this has one thing that is like a kind of a big complaint is because this is a PC, it's always giving off heat. And so if you hit like the rest mode button, like you're playing the game and suddenly your plane stops and you're like, oh, I need to like get out of here real quick.
Yeah.
You hit the power button and it goes into rest mode and you throw it in the case. It is still on and it's generating heat. And so if you, like I did a thing where I took it out of the case and it was burning hot and the screen was all coagulated and had to like reset itself because it was still giving off heat in the case and it got really hot. And it's stuff like that where it's like, okay, like I have to think about this as a PC. And so I have to fully shut it off before I put it in a box. And so that is like a thing where like you would never think about that with the Switch because it's designed to do a very specific thing for a very specific like brain off type of user. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's definitely never melted itself. But if you don't turn it all the way off and you put it in your case, it will be hot when you take it out.
It'll be hot, but it'll be hot, but it's not like this, Hogue. Like because I have a case.
You're not at risk of burning yourself. It just
exactly.
You do want to turn it all the way off.
This was like I picked it up and it hurt my fingers, and then when I turned on the screen was like blacked out for part of it, and then as it cooled off, it like
How much
healed
panic did
itself
you have
slowly.
during this?
I was like, oh, did I just break this thing? I mean,
I would have
was
been so panicked.
It was under warranty, so I was like, but the thing is that it like healed itself as it got cool, and then I was just like, okay, note to self: do not put rest moded console. It did. It healed itself. It just like slowly the screen kind of came back to life as it cooled down, and I was like, okay. But it was scary for a moment, and then I had to think to myself like, okay, in the future, I have to fully shut off this device before I put it into an enclosed space.
Yeah.
Like note to self, didn't know that. Probably was in the instructions that I did not have time to read because I got it out of the box and then hopped on a plane.
It's funny because it's just one of my steps when I take the Switch out is I make sure, because otherwise it's always in sleep mode. But you don't want it in sleep mode in the case.
That's interesting because I put mine in sleep mode and throw it in the case, and I've never like thought, oh, it's too hot, or like it seems to know to turn off the can't. I don't know.
Well, it's not running anything, but it does get warm.
Yeah. Well, this is like straight up pushing exhaust. I remember it had a smell when I opened up the case. It had like a smell.
I can't even tell you how panicked I would have been.
Like it was like pushing out fumes, and I was like, oh, did I just melt this console the first time I used it? But no, it runs fine, and I guess it's durable enough to like not burn itself out. But yeah, going forward, I'm just shutting it off fully, and that's something that like is a bit of a friction point as a user, and this is not as user friendly or as like fully perfectly optimized as a Switch, where they made this thing exactly knowing what they were doing. It
never was going to be. Yeah, I mean, that's just not.
But it gets most of the way there, and honestly, like maybe it's because I've been burned by so many handhelds that just straight up suck. But I'm super happy with it just by it meeting that bare minimum threshold of like not being a pain in my ass. So
yeah, just the buttons you pressed on screen just now, it was pretty impressive. It was zippy. It was nice looking.
Yeah,
and I think
good. You got $1,000 burning a hole in your pocket.
I
recommend it. Otherwise,
Ball Pit
it's probably not worth it, but it is cool.
Or 600.
How many copies of Ball Pit? I tell you.
I was gonna say, but the one nice thing too with like the Steam Deck or the or this, right? So you look at like the Switch 2, and we get excited when we see, I'll just say AAA. It's the easiest way to describe, but AAA games outside the Nintendo ecosystem on the Switch 2. So look at Cyberpunk, right? It's like, oh, cool. You can get Cyberpunk on the Switch now because of the Switch 2, and you can go and pay $70 for it. Or I could just play my Xbox version that I already own on this device. Do you know what I mean? So you have that full library that you already own there, or most of the library, to your point, Travis, that you already own there, but it also includes major titles that aren't even in the Switch ecosystem. So I think if you're a big portable player, like if you're someone who uses these devices all the time, I could certainly see a play where you have like this and a Switch 2. Do you know what I mean? Like you're just that way, you're in kind of both areas. So just a thought too, rather than like rebuying inferior versions of the game to run on your Switch 2 like Cyberpunk. Because I'm sure Cyberpunk will run a lot better on this device versus the Switch 2, even though it runs pretty good on the Switch 2.
It does.
So, but thank you, Travis. The last thing I was going to ask you real quick, just to close out, I've heard from many people, it is far more comfortable to hold and play on than normal handheld devices because of the way they designed it like a controller. Is that true?
Yeah. This is the most comfortable handheld I've personally experienced, and I was holding the OLED Steam Deck at the same time because I was with another media person, and we were kind of like trading it back and forth. It has like an interesting like slanted screen that slants in a way where I've never really thought about it, but I guess all the other devices that I have are like flat. Like you hold the controller flat, and this has like a little bit of an angle on it that made it feel a lot more natural, which is cool. Really my only complaint with the actual holding part is it is a very heavy device. It's got $1,000 worth of hardware in here, and it's too heavy for my wife. Like she would need it like rested on her lap because she would get exhausted carrying it.
Is it heavier than the Steam Deck? Because I get a lot of complaints about people holding the Steam Deck.
I think it is. Let me grab my Steam Deck right now, and I'm gonna compare directly. I'm gonna grab it.
This is exclusive, folks. This is live.
I'm trying to see if Steve has any info on that in his write-up here about weight.
Shouldn't there be some data sheets that have some numbers on them that we could use instead of Travis?
Oh, this is way lighter. The Steam Deck is is way lighter. But it
Oh,
also
man.
feels the contour of my fingers on the back of the buttons is like awful. These sticks are way too flat. Like it's got the Xbox sticks
Thank
on it with
you.
like the divot and the grips around
The
the
Steam
sides
Deck
that are way
sticks are
better.
so like
These are very slippery.
slippy. Yeah, I can't stand them.
Yeah. And the buttons also feel like really cheap on the Steam Deck comparatively. Like these are kind of just janky. Yeah, these buttons are not good too. The LB and RBs.
It's funny when you go back and compare.
Yeah,
to
no,
something
this
new,
is
right?
like yeah, just comparatively, but I will say this is easily twice as heavy. Like this is like much heavier. But yeah, the sticks are really, really nice. They've got a good divot in there. The buttons feel like Xbox buttons. I think they probably could have done a better job with the D-pad down here. But other than that, like, yeah, this feels a million times better. So
Cool.
it is also, as we've pointed out, more expensive. I think the only issue I have with this controller in terms of like its feel is these buttons in the back are a
Oh, the
little
paddles.
they're not, I've never used them because I'm not really playing games that require them at the moment, but the paddles on the back of the Steam Deck are much more like centrally located, and they're like kind of big, nice feeling buttons. So I think Steam Deck wins in terms of like the back paddle buttons, but that's really the only advantage I feel on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is pretty nice.
So
Much
yeah, the
heavier
last...
than the deck is a non-starter in House. I can tell you that.
Yeah. It's easily twice as heavy. It's for big boys like me.
D became a YouTube member over at the SG side, so thank you.
Welcome, D. That's of course
Appreciate you.
my wife.
Yes, my wife. The only thing else I was going to say is it's going to be interesting to see. So if you didn't see, and I think we might have mentioned this, but Cerebon came out 2-3 weeks ago saying that they are building the next generation of consoles. They're building them internally, first party, whatever that looks like as it takes shape, right? But we've speculated before between what they're doing on Xbox PC app side with bringing in your Steam library, Epic library, etc. What is happening here in the OS side with the ROG Ally, and kind of bringing that usability together between console and PC. I don't know about you guys, but it seems pretty clear to me that that's where the console is heading. Is it's going to be this kind of combined user experience where they try to blur the line. Because I mean, our consoles, PS5 Series X, are already mini PCs. They're just kind of like condensed into, you know, specific use cases. But it feels like even more so, especially with the next Xbox. Can't speak to PlayStation, but it's going to go down that path. So I could see a combining of this new modified UI across Xbox, PC app, mobile, and console. Could you not? You think that's kind of where they're headed?
I don't really think so, because there's still some things on this device that are very they're very PC. Like for example, the first time you connect to Bluetooth, like it takes you to the settings app on Windows, and if you've used Windows, you know what that looks like, and you have to click on Bluetooth, add device, and it still has like just a little fringe of the jankiness that I don't think you get rid of if you're running Windows. I think the thing that they're more likely to combine is like the store and the experience and the barriers that we're used to having as players, where it's like, well, PC is completely separate and console's completely separate. Yes. I think that'll be completely gone. But I do think the experience of like, this is a separate UI for a specific type of user who wants a specific type of experience, and we're not going to like have it be fully a PC without any of the safety guards and rails. Now, maybe they put like a way in there for advanced users to like access the Windows UI and like do fancy stuff. I could see that maybe being a thing, but I kind of think that that's not really, I think it defeats the purpose of having like a console experience. And I don't think they'll do that. I think they're just going to like remove the differences in like the stores. Like, I don't think there will be a separate Windows store from the Xbox store. I think that's got to be just one, right? If that's their whole sales pitch here.
Yeah, I think you're probably mostly on point in the sense of, and obviously we're just speculating, but it feels like there's a middle ground there, right? Like you already have a functional UI for all of your kind of, like you mentioned, like Bluetooth or those simple kind of functions you don't want to deal with Windows in a console space. But I think from a design perspective, you're going to combine a lot of those efforts, right? Because I think generally Microsoft, or Xbox, or however you want to frame it, right? If they're truly going in a Xbox experience mode where you can play anywhere on any device, what they've been preaching. They've kind of walked this middle ground of various things over the past few years of how it feels to play on PC. Like the PC app has gotten closer to the Xbox store, to your point, right? It's kind of evolved in that generation. And I can see the other happening where console, not to make it more complicated, but it gets some of those features of like the PC app, right? Where it kind of combines some of those things. I think the thing I continue to be most curious about is, do they allow you to actually access your storefronts like they're doing on Xbox PC app right now, where when I log in, I can see my Steam games, right? And my Epic games. Are they going to do that in a console space? Because I still think that's a differentiator that no one
I could
else
see
can have.
that. I could see that where they combine libraries and they go like, this game is playable on your console, this one isn't, right? So then if you've got like World of Warcraft or whatever installed on your Steam and it connects and sees that app, but it either doesn't show it on Xbox or it keeps it in a separate part where it says like, hey, this isn't compatible with the console experience or whatever. I could see them doing something like that, and I think that's fine. It would be interesting though, because that's Xbox fully giving up its like walled garden on console, which it currently has, right? Because then you'd be able to buy stuff on Steam and then play it on Xbox, and then what is Xbox's incentive really to have?
They'd
a
have to
console
work
if you
out
could
all
just
that.
go
There's
around
no
there?
question. I think that's something that's slowing them up. Honestly,
Yeah.
is you got to make sure all the storefronts are happy with what's happening, with the money coming in, and that we saw that fight when cross-play and cross-purchasing started, right? That was where Sony was trying to hold on to their garden, and Tim Sweeney and Epic basically just started showing that they could do this whenever they wanted, as soon as Sony allowed them to. And Sony kind of got
They blinked.
barreled into being what they are now, which is allowing it. So, I think that's something to solve. There is nothing that can't be solved with a sufficient amount of money, which is what Microsoft operates in.
Unless you're Pokemon.
No, I mean, I think if they decided to solve anything, I don't think they think there's anything to solve.
That's true. Different. Yes. True.
So, yes, I think that Microsoft is going to try to have those storefronts. I don't think they want the walled garden. I think that's why you see them as part of Epic versus Apple on Epic's side, trying to break down all the gardens everywhere. So I think that's probably their future end game. But as I said earlier, on an earlier episode of this show, I don't know that they have a steady hand at the wheel that is aimed at a specific end game objective for what their Xbox brand is, what their gaming division does. And so if I could see some of that a little bit better, I would feel more comfortable with whatever they're choosing to do in the future. I am, I guess, a little bit surprised that they've kind of divided their output into this set-top TV box and mobile licensed out concept, because I do think Nintendo showed with the Switch that there is a big market for selling games into this hybrid universe. For whatever reason, Microsoft decided that they weren't comfortable making that kind of thing on their own, so they are putting their efforts into that big box under a TV and letting Asus do the mobile side of things with a dock. I don't know whether that pays off for them in the future or not. I don't know what payoff in the future looks like to them. So I wish them the best of luck. I think Microsoft continues to be somewhat floundering and not with a clear strategy that I can see, at least.
They also did the same thing with headsets, by the way. We got that Meta Quest 3 Xbox headset, which is kind of interesting.
Oh,
because
right.
Then
I forgot that even came out.
Yeah, because I have that as well. That one Meta sent me, and it's like they're not doing VR, which their competitors are also doing, right? They have their own VR headset, but they are saying, hey, if you like Xbox library and you want to engage with those in VR, here's a way to do that. Which is very interesting. But it does seem like their strategy when it comes to peripherals. I call this Hogue. I call this the Connect fear. I think it honestly is like trauma that this company has accrued from doing third-party non-consoles, and they're just like staying as far away from it as possible, because they have not done a single like peripheral or thing that wasn't a box that you connect to your TV since then. And I think it's just part of their trauma from that event.
I think
honestly.
That's probably true. We do see in corporations sensitivities to past failures. I think it's also a part of the story that gaming doesn't have the same cachet that it did even maybe a couple of years ago within Microsoft. And so you say, what are our risk vectors for something like this? Manufacturing, design, all these things. We can get the design across the board. We don't want to take on all of the extra risk from actually building these things. We find a third party that's willing to essentially take on that, if not pay for the privilege of taking on that risk. And that's useful to selling it to the board. I think that's what's happening here to some extent. I do think it's cutting off their own knees a little bit in the near future, but we'll see. We again, we don't know what a success state looks like for Microsoft and Xbox right now.
Well, I think you
True.
can always. I don't know if it's cutting off the knees because I think you can always put out your own console later or your own handheld device later. If you
I'd
want
be willing to bet that is part of the contract with the third-party licensees, unless their lawyers were asleep when these contracts were put to them.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but like it's kind of been Microsoft. You can buy a Dell laptop that runs Windows, and you can also buy a Windows-made laptop that runs Windows, and I think that's probably on the table for them. I just think right now they probably don't see an advantage in making their own hardware because they're already presumably losing money on the console hardware that they're making themselves. So why take the risk when you can just put your software and your games library on a device that somebody made who like that's their main business model? So I think it might end up being kind of a savvy decision. It also just gives consumers potentially more options if there's like a bunch of, because I think the plan is to make this experience available on a bunch of different devices later on. So we'll see. That could gives consumers more options and could be a really cool move where people get to kind of pick and choose their experience. Yeah.
I don't want to
Pretty cool.
belabor this because we seem to talk about this a lot with Microsoft and Xbox since we've been doing this show together. But to your latter point there, Travis, around more options for consumers and kind of good things that ideas or forward facing ideas or tech that Microsoft and Xbox put forth, generally speaking, they've done that for the past several years anyway, right? We talk about Play Anywhere. We talk about buy once on console PC. We talk about xCloud, right? And everything being included there. We talk about Game Pass, all these other things they've done in that space, which in generally speaking are really consumer friendly. The cloud saves, they were first to that, all of this support. When you talk first to that of the big three, I mean, and yet they still find themselves in this weird situation where they are scrapping for, reputation or global presence, however you want to frame it. It's a weird thing with Xbox.
I mean, I don't think it's that weird though, Ains, because they lost a ton of cred as a company right at the worst time to do it. Phil has talked about this.
Phil has talked about that a lot.
They lost the generation where they built the digital library, and I think it's a lot harder to get somebody to switch over to your device and your way of thinking if they've already got all of their games over there. And then also, true or not, they still also have the like social reputation for being the place where you have really good games. And then also because they've opened up their walled garden and said, well, now you can play our games anywhere, it also like de-incentivizes people to switch. So even though they have a bunch of games now, it's like, okay, but I can also play them on Steam. So why wouldn't I just have a PlayStation and a PC that runs all of my Xbox needs? And then so I get it, like it makes sense, but I also think that they're losing this battle, but they're winning a different one, which is like now people are playing a lot of their games. And I think that's probably the more profitable victory in the long run. If you own all of these titles and people are playing them, so what if they're buying them on Steam and playing them on PC, not buying your box? I think Xbox cares about that increasingly less and less. I think they'll still have the box there for people who want it. I think it's an important part of what they're doing, but I think it's like they're viewing victory as through a different kind of lens. And I think that lens is probably the right one in the long run because physical consoles are not long for this world. I mean, you and I know that, Ains. It's only a matter of time.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's all fair. We'll just see how it shakes out. Seems like Microsoft makes a lot of big bets in very different areas. some pay off and some don't, as we all know. I mean, that's kind of
they are very often proven right, though, Ains. I'll give you that. Like they say
that's
stuff
true.
that seems crazy to the consumer, and then like 5 years later it happens, and I'm like, Microsoft, you just missed it, man. Just did it way too early. They're really bad at gauging where the market is, and I think sometimes they think they can push the market in a certain direction. It's like, no, man, you got to meet them where they are and have those cool ideas ready to go. But they do stuff too soon.
Yeah. They always have. The
always online thing. It's so funny how much that just happened anyway. The market reacted so negatively to it, and then it just happened anyway.
Didn't even take that long either.
No, it was like a couple years later while people were still shitting on them about it. It happened anyway. It's very funny.
Yeah. Well, great chat, guys. Thank you for the information. And Travis, thanks for the hands-on experience there. Like I said, if you want to know more about specifics from the devs and whatnot too, we have a long article up from Steve on that. I'd appreciate anyone checking it out. Before we head out here, just want to give a big shout out, maybe the wrong way to frame this, kind of an homage to Tomonobu Itagaki, who was founder of Dead Alive. He also brought 3D Ninja Gaiden to life. He was really a kind of a iconic creator growing up in the gaming space, and he has passed away at 58, which is just far damn too early. So sorry to see him go. Sorry to see anyone go at that age, to be honest with you. You know, I will always remember him as being kind of the coolest guy in gaming. Like those, sure, Hogue remembers, but there was a time back in probably the 90s, early 2000s, like people thought about Itagaki, maybe not to Kojima levels today, but like he was an iconic character in the gaming space. Sad to see him go.
Absolutely. He was the coolest. He was the Rockstar developer.
No doubt.
Not the company, the status.
No doubt. I don't know if you guys saw, but Seamus Blackley posted this week an anecdote where he said that he went in for a meeting with Xbox and Itagaki was sitting there. And I don't know if it was Dead or Alive that they were playing, but he said he sat down. They both picked up a controller. They played like 4 matches. And I guess Itagaki won the majority. And then Itagaki apparently just looked at Seamus and said, friend, or said one word. I'm screwing this up, but basically said something. And Seamus Blackley was like, that was the coolest interaction I might have ever had, like in the gaming industry. You know, so it's a shame. Cool. This week we get a lot of, I feel like I say it every week, a lot of games coming this week.
That's because you do.
Yeah. The Outer Worlds 2 releases in Travis's favorite, early access, if you buy the premium edition. Advanced access 5 days early. So it releases on the 29th, but you can play it starting on the 24th. And reviews for that will be out the day prior on the 23rd. So,
wait. Oh, I see. So the 24th is when the early people can play.
Advanced access opens. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I'm up
money bags. The board. It should be what, Board of Directors edition or something. I don't know.
That would have been actually funny for Outer Worlds too. Actually.
Yep. Yeah. The yeah. They could have made a joke about that.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden 4. Speaking of Itagaki, right? Ninja Gaiden 4 comes out. Alex is reviewing that for us, so you can check out his review very soon as well. Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2 comes out this week, and it's not one I mentioned while playing because it's not out yet. Reviews did come out, and I think Hogue may get a joke about this not looking too good a few weeks ago.
Right?
It did not review very well. It's in the 6s. Okay. So,
that's not great.
Yeah, it's sitting
that
down.
Sounds about right for that series, though.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a bad outcome for firing the team that was making it for lack of quality and then releasing a 6.
Yeah. One of the reviewers posted on Blue Sky this week of like, the quote was bad. It was like, honestly, this is one of the worst video games I have ever played. The writing is god awful. The structure is terrible. Like they just went off about it. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, there's people excited for it. So we'll see. Dispatch releases this week, that comedic kind of comic themed game. I forget who's making it now. I apologize.
Yeah, it's cartoon people dispatching heroes everywhere with voice acting from like all the stars
and famous voice actors.
Yeah.
Well,
I've actually heard good things about that game from people who've played it.
I'm excited to play it, but
when I played the demo a year ago.
Yeah,
it did debut.
I've heard good things though. Like I know 2 people that are reviewing that game for different outlets, and they both have said that they were like that it's much better than they thought it was going to be. So excited for that.
All right, and then we get a new Katamari game this week. Once Upon a Katamari releases this week.
I'll play that.
And Slots and Daggers.
And Slots and Daggers to Hook's point. Check
Don't
it
forget
out.
Slots and Daggers.
I'm talking
Please
about
don't,
your
people.
slots and your pits, you freaking weirdo. God, Hogue.
Just stay away from the lighthouses.
Stay in your ball pit.
They have
dude.
lights.
Yeah.
On the SG side, we will have, like I said, Ninja Gaiden 4 review from Alex. I can't mention it, but I'm doing a new controller review, which if you like controllers, you like competitive games, you're going to want to keep an eye out for. I can't talk about it till later this week, but that'll be out this week for next as well. Hogue, pass it to you first this week. What do you want to close out with, my friend?
Oh, sure. Well, for folks that follow me on Last Stand, I was in a Summon Sign this last week where we talked about some good stuff. That is their show about deep dives into what people are playing in the video games that they want to bring to the table. So if you're interested in that, check that out. That wound up being a fireside chat kind of episode because we usually do those with 3 or 4, but it turned out it was only me and Brad Ellis, who's the host of that show. So I think it was interesting. Got a little bit more personal than some of those other episodes. Otherwise, I announced, as I did last week, that I've started a new job. So I haven't been making video content for my own channel, but it looks like I'll be getting back to doing that very soon. I still have to get my sea legs under me a little bit with where the buttons are to press on the new billing systems and work with the new employer and all these things. But we're almost there, I think, at least to a place where I can make content again. So if you're interested in virtual legality or Hangouts and Headlines or Reasonable Minds Can Differ, I think one of those will probably be popping up on my channel pretty soon. I can't make promises yet because I still have to sort things out there. But other than that, I have no wares to share. Buy Ball Pit.
Where's? Buy Ball Pit and all the other slot pit games.
Buy Ball Pit. Buy Slots and Daggers. Buy Clover Pit. Really, if it's got pit in it, if it's got a slot machine on the cover, buy it. If it's got a lighthouse, run far away.
Yeah. Who's your favorite actor, Hogue?
Who's my favorite actor? I
Is
don't
it
think I have
Brad
a
Pitt?
favorite actor.
Brad Pitt. Got to be Brad Pitt.
Is it Brad Pitt?
Gotta
It's
be.
got to be Brad Pitt. Yeah.
I like Brad Pitt.
favorite.
I did enjoy The Pit. If you haven't seen that TV show, that's really good. That's Noah
damn it.
Wiley.
Honestly,
He found
his
another
favorite
pit to crawl in. Yeah.
his favorite Brad Pitt movie is Casino Royale, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's right. He really likes
Or-
Casino Royale.
I mean,
It's his favorite.
Ocean's 12, not Casino Royale. God damn it, I
Well,
wrote my
that's
own
no
joke.
Casino Royale works too. I mean, it's
It
a
does, except that
card
Brad
game, but
Pitt's not in it.
he's not in it, which is his.
Yeah, I meant Ocean's 11.
No,
Sorry.
Ocean's 12 is the perfect mix of all things
Yeah.
he likes, pits and
Yeah.
slots. It's
He's
really
just
good.
fully invested there. Travis, anything
Hogue's
you can
Hogue's
talk
going
about?
through a weird period in his life. That's all I gotta say. I can say that I'm reviewing Outer Worlds 2. My review will be out later this week. Can I talk about? No, I can't. But after this, my next review is Arc Raiders 2. So I'm looking forward to playing that starting this week, and that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Good times.
Yeah, more to come on that
Good
from us as
times.
well. Haven't decided if I'm reviewing that with you yet or not, honestly. So we'll see. Cool. Guys, chat, you've been awesome this week. Thanks for the engagement. Thanks for all the questions and support as always. As we say, seemingly every week, amazing games out there right now. Play whatever you love, enjoy it, and we will be back next week to have a chat with you about them.
With
Until
another
then, my
6
friends.
dozen games. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good week. Bye.